Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. There's a lot coming out, it seems, moment by moment about what happened over the weekend, Donald Trump being shot at a rally. It's hard sometimes to kind of weed through it and figure out what may be legitimate and what is just bunk, but there's a whole lot more going on there, and I'm sure that most of you know that. Also, as I mentioned yesterday, it looks like that Joe Biden is probably soon to be on his way out, at least out of the campaign. Doesn't necessarily mean that he won't finish his term as president, but it's possible that could happen too. I think, and I'm no political whatever analyst guru person, but I would guess if he bowed out now and Kamala took over, it would actually increase her chances maybe of winning election. So we'll see. But he said yesterday that he would consider stepping down from the race, if he ended up having some kind of illness. And then just hours later, the White House announced that he has COVID, and they had to cancel a speech, and he's isolating in his home, his vacation home, all this kind of stuff. But there was also video yesterday evening of him getting off of Air Force One, getting into the limo, the Beast, and man, he looks feeble. We watched Donald Trump get shot in the head and popped back up, looking pretty spry for his age after what he just went through. And then, we saw him again, coming into the RNC, all that kind of stuff, and he doesn't look very affected by any of it. And yet Joe Biden supposedly has COVID-19, which he has been. I guess he's currently vaccinated, so and he looks like it's really affecting him. So the point to it is that I have a feeling, a gut feeling, I don't know, that we're probably going to see something happen over the next coming days. Maybe he'll take a fall or something. I mean, it's possible that we'll never see it and they just announce it, but I think we'll see something happen, and it'll kind of be the indicator of the beginning of the end. Now, here's the thing. I've talked to you folks just pretty much every day at the end of the video, but in many other times, about psychological preparedness. We're watching, and I think it's happening so fast that a lot of times we don't have the time to think about it. We don't have time to process it. And that's part of the reason to be psychologically prepared, mentally prepared for things to happen. Anything, whether it's watching the downfall of the United States or something in your life. Because a lot of times events happen so quickly that you can't really process them that well. It's hard to take it all in time. And so we are watching the downfall of the United States. We're watching it crumble. And even though many of you that have been preppers for a long time have talked about it, that eventually America's going to collapse, eventually it's going to fail, it's very different talking about it and saying that you're prepared versus actually watching it happen in real time. And that's where we're at. And I've said this a lot here lately, but it's because I'm trying to get it in your head. I think we're going to see some stuff here in the coming days and weeks. I mean, we've watched Donald Trump getting shot on national TV and all this other stuff, but we're watching things fall apart, and it's going to get worse. It feels like we're just right on the edge of it, and we need to start really preparing ourselves for what we're going to face. Now, how do you do that? I mean, I'm no psychologist, I'm no therapist, or Not even close to that. I'm probably the opposite in those things. Me, it's like, well, suck it up. You know? Oh, it hurts? Well, deal with it. Oh, you're sad? Well, cheer up. You know, that's fine, me. But anyways, we have to really start preparing ourselves for what we're going to see, and not, hopefully, not allowing it to affect us. And that's really the key thing. It's not just the affecting us like in an emotional way. I'm also talking about affecting us where it's happening so fast that it becomes maybe difficult to clearly think about what to do next. You know, the emotional effect, honestly, is not something that bothers me or I worry, I'm concerned about. I know some of you that's not the case, but I'm speaking more specifically of think of it this way. You know, you train and you plan and you have this idea of what to do if someone breaks into your home. You know, they've come through your door and they're trying to harm your children, maybe multiple people, and you have it all in your head. Yeah, I'm just going to shoot them. You know, they come through the door, boom, they're done. But then, hopefully never, but it happens, and there can be that shock, that shell shock, that deer in the headlights. Maybe it's multiple assailants. Maybe it didn't go quite like you planned, and now you're scrambling, and you're in this fear and panic kicks in because you're like, wait a minute, this isn't how I thought it would happen, and now I don't know what to do, or which one to go after, or what to, you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That's part of that muscle memory. I know some of you get irritated because I constantly reference being a volunteer fireman, but there's definitely an aspect there that pertains to this. In our line of work, we have to move fast. Any type of EMS, type of emergency services, law enforcement, ambulance, all of it. You know, you have to move fast, because if there's a life on the line, you know, even arriving just a few seconds earlier can mean the difference between life and death. And so we train to respond as quickly as possible. And I'm not just talking driving, I'm talking about getting our gear and everything. And for us as volunteers, it's different. We're not hanging out in the station, you know, getting paid to be there all day long. No, I'm driving around, I'm working in my garden, I'm mowing the yard, I'm, you know, asleep, all these different things. So we have to get up, put our gear on, get our stuff going, and get there. And so it trains us to react very quickly, but accurately, because speed isn't everything. Speed is important, but it's not everything. You need to be accurate. And so, you know, the difference between now as opposed to the first time or two I've ever done this kind of stuff, you know, you're trying to put your pants on and you can't get your buckle to work, and you're fumbling over everything, and you're trying to put your boots on, and that one time out of a million you can't get the doggone boot to slip up over your foot, you know, that kind of stuff. And so we train for that. You know, I've talked many times, in fact, way back when I first started this channel, I talked about being a Minuteman, and not just being, you know, from the aspect of going out and fighting, but how to get going quick. For years and years, probably 20 years now. When I go to bed, I have a very specific routine. I lay out clothes, everything. I lay out clothes, and I lay them out in a specific way, and it may not be the clothes that I'm wearing the next day. It's, you know, I have certain clothing, depending on the time of the year and everything, that I have that I know I can quickly put on, and that, you know, there's a tactical aspect to it, or now the fire department or whatever. I have specific boots. They may not be the boots that I wear every day, but they're boots that I can very quickly slip on my feet, kind of like a fireman, you know. And I have all that stuff laid out so that if something were to happen, I can, you know, shave seconds, maybe a minute or two off my time of getting dressed. This has come in handy being a homesteader. There's been a few times, you know, something's on the property or whatever, and I may not get fully dressed, but being able to, you know, slip some pants on and slip some boots on, is very helpful. Maybe I have to go run through the woods or run through the bushes, and I don't want to get all tore up by thorns and stuff. Well, it's the same thing now. As a volunteer fireman, medical person, I have my stuff laid out so that when that call comes in, from the time, if I'm dead asleep, I get that tone because I have the radio next to my head at night. From the time I get that tone to the time I'm in my vehicle pulling out of the drive, it is usually less than 2 minutes, minute and a half, something like that. And it's because I've gotten very good at moving quickly. Now, the point that I'm getting to with this long analogy is that that's the same kind of concepts and mindsets that I'm speaking of for us understanding what we will be seeing and we will be facing in the coming days, weeks, and months. Is getting ourselves to the point, at least mentally, that we can react quickly to things. So if something happens and it becomes very quickly apparent that this is bad enough that I need to run out and, fill up, make sure all the gas tanks are filled, make sure the water jugs are filled, excuse me, maybe run and purchase a certain thing or two that I know I need, whatever it is. I need to start calling family, wife, children, things like that, tell them they need to get to the homestead. It's time to lock down. Those types of things, being able to clearly respond could be very important. And I want to encourage you to be thinking about this. Part of it, the mental preparedness, is just role-playing it, war-gaming it in your head. But then there's also the aspect of actually physically doing it. So if you have certain plans to, fill water jugs and to, bring people home, set up maybe defense positions, pull gear out, whatever your plan is to put into place when things, this spot right here in the road is just washboarded really bad. Anyways, whatever your plan is to put in place, you should probably do some dry runs here soon. Things are getting kind of crazy, and that they're going to be making some decisions and doing some things here lately, because they've got to, the globalists, the far left, they can't have this direction that it appears that we're going right now. They can't have that, and so they're going to have to do everything they can to change things and shake things up. So that means that it's probably going to get crazy for a while. And I suggest that you do what I'm talking about. Start training, start preparing. I'm not talking just training going out and shooting at a piece of paper. I'm saying training on how to get activated, how to get your gear out, how to, whatever it is. Maybe it's locking the gates down, boarding the house up. I know those maybe sounds extreme, but the point is that whatever it is that you think you need to do when things start getting bad, you should start probably going over it in your head and maybe even practicing it, because you want that muscle memory down like that, because you never know. Sometimes those few seconds you can shave off of your time will mean a big deal. And I do think that we're getting into that time period where we have to start actually really doing these things. All right, folks. More washboarded road. That's how the old timers ran. They call it washboarded, not washboarded. I don't know. It's an Ozark thing. Washboarded. Get your houses in order, folks. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.